live going out right now.
Rock and roll.
Everything is starting.
And you've got, oh yeah, we've got this ready for Dr. Clothier. Fantastic. He said link not received yet.
Can only go as fast as my
And I think we got a notification.
Tell him it's his Verizon account.
Good morning. Welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. We're on our own.
Venture Studios. It's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
All right, there we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday, live.
Yeah, happy Monday. It is Monday,
live.
right?
We're live. Yeah,
we are live. Yippee!
Yeah, we're not.
Yippee, Skippy. We are getting ready to have Dr. Norm Clothier come on.
Hopefully.
Talking about the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I want to ask him because there's all kinds of things. Can you get one vaccine from one and another from another? Because there's all these rumors out there. He said the email link just arrived, so he'll be on shortly. So any questions you have about the new vaccines, combinations of vaccines, please feel free to ask. You can grab us on social media at the bajillion places that we show. I don't even know where all we show. Sometimes I feel like I'm just making names up when people say, well, besides Facebook or besides YouTube, how about this? I'm like, and we're on the Twitcher. No, that's the Switcher. No, we're on the Twitch. I don't know.
We're on the everything. We're on, YouTube.
He's in the waiting room, so we are good to go.
YouTube is the big one we want.
Yes. Follow us. What's the new YouTube?
JPK Broadcasting Network.
Okay, yeah, so we've got a new YouTube channel, so we're trying to encourage people to get on that, so
right.
We are good to go.
And then let me go in
and
here.
Good morning, Dad. Good morning, Andrew White from Kilroy's Conversation, Coach Quigley, Eric, Randy. Who else is on?
We're going to admit.
Michelle. Good morning, Michelle.
Okay. Where'd he go?
I'm here.
There he is. I hear. Yay! We hear him. We hear him. Do we see him?
Can you hear us? Okay, Dr. Clothier.
Oh, sorry.
There he is. Yay!
Are you there?
Yes.
Yippee! And you are live.
Can you hear us, Dr. Clothier?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got these crazy AirPods in, and yeah.
Excellent.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, sir. Happy Monday.
Okay, good.
I thought maybe you were going Hasidic on me or something.
He's what?
It's just my new look.
He's looking fancy.
I like to have something in my ears. I'd learned to keep them warm a couple of weeks ago.
He's all fancy. I love it.
Yeah. That's right.
So we apologize.
Absolutely.
It's
so it's just me and JP today. Our Chambrielle is not in today. So, but yeah, when it's just us, we're a big old mess because
time to learn new coping skills. That's right.
That's okay. That's the truth. So with that, let's jump right into Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. So Johnson & Johnson new vaccine,
right
sir. What are your thoughts on that?
Johnson & Johnson, Janssen Pharmaceuticals. It may go by, it's easier to say Janssen or J&J. So that's what we're talking about. If I say the J&J shot, it's Johnson & Johnson or Janssen. But anyway, it was approved, of course, last week as the same emergency approval as the others, meaning that it's not fully FDA approved, but it's available for use for compassionate reasons, which is, to limit the spread and the death rate and the infection rate of COVID-19. So this is the one everybody's been talking about, of course, recently because it's one shot instead of two. I can tell you, I think that's going to be one shot instead of two for a while. I think there will be a second one, probably.
Oh, okay. Like a booster shot?
Is yielding about 85% efficacy. Now, you may recall Pfizer's about 95%, and that was proven in both studies and in experience so far. And so at 95%, that's obviously quite good. The Moderna shot is at 94% efficacy, and then J&J now is at 85. Now, Venture, so they haven't shown any deaths in their trials, and so it may have a little better effect against somebody with the active virus in terms of still forming immunity as opposed to only preventing infection. So you'd still get a noticeably less of an infection, fewer symptoms, less severity if you get this shot. So I would suggest anybody that can get any one of the 3 shots. Now, they have announced, and I don't know how well they can prove it'll happen, that they'll have 100 million out by June, and that therefore will get us up to 600 million shots by June, which would basically cover most every adult in America who's
willing to get it,
the shot.
right.
So I think that's really an important step in terms of hopefully gaining herd immunity a little sooner than we expected to. So the issues with the shot, it is a little different from the Pfizer and Moderna shots because it has a particle of the virus that the body will learn to recognize and then attack it if there's exposure to the infection, to the actual virus, as opposed to Pfizer and Moderna are messenger RNA blockade, keeping the virus from getting into the cells. So that may be one difference in the efficacy, is that you can still get the virus, but you'll attack it. And whereas with the messenger RNA, it's less likely to actually get the virus. So that's one difference. I wouldn't get too hung up on the issue of 1 shot versus 2, as we've discussed every week. A lot of shots are more than one, a lot of immunizations are more than 1 shot, and that's okay. That's how you form immunity. And so I think that's, whichever one you can get, you should get. But this offers a new option, hopefully 100 million more doses, and I hope will be a little more acceptable to some people who are a little hung up on the idea of, having 2 shots. But, don't be surprised that there's a booster in the future, and a booster in the future doesn't mean failure. It just means there's been more time to observe it.
Right.
I haven't pointed out this week, because it's Monday, that we've only known about the virus for 15 months. And so we don't know the long run. I keep getting questions like, will this last forever immunity-wise? Well, we just don't know.
We'll find out, yeah.
Forever is a long time compared to 15 months that we've known the virus. And so I'd really suggest people just be open to it. Now, I do want to address, I saw a posting on a restroom wall of all things over the weekend.
You did not.
That said, I did. And this one, though, I can actually tell you what it said. I usually wouldn't read it, except that it was obviously a new piece of paper that had been stuck up on a bulletin type of a deal, which, I know it all sounds strange. I'm not making it up. But it was about reasons to not get the immunization. I thought, why are people trying to, advertise their opposition in a restaurant? I don't know.
That's an odd place to advertise.
Yeah. One of the things it said was, why would I get the immunization if even the government says, will I be able to not wear a mask after it? The government says no. Well, why would I get if only 0.3% of people die because, of all the other issues and whatever? I just want to address, I don't know why there's so much frustration and anger, why somebody would feel like they have to almost evangelize against an immunization. I just don't really understand that. But I do want to point out, in Texas, there are, a lot of cases, and we're in the Dallas area. There obviously are a lot of cases. There are a lot of people in the hospital. Interestingly, studies just showed, some sites have come out that showed that if you're in the hospital for a certain length of time with COVID or are intubated and then successfully extubated and discharged, there are cognitive deficits. It's about an 8 to 9% reduction in IQ. There are some respiratory deficits. There's quite a bit of a reduction in exercise tolerance and endurance. And, these are all very serious issues. So even if you thought the death rate was 0.3 in Dallas County, it's actually about 1.7% now, death rate.
Right.
And in Texas, it's about the same. It's about 1.8%. And so that may not sound like a lot more than the 0.3% that I saw advertised, in this odd way. But it is several thousand people by the time you take millions of Americans.
It's devastating,
so why,
Dr. Clothier.
The death rate passed 500,000 in
Right.
America. And, we keep talking about the numbers. The numbers are pretty shocking. If you think about the lifespan of Americans has dropped by 1 year on average in the past year. That takes a lot of people dying from earlier than actuaries who say these things would expect them to, based on this virus just in a year. So for what it's worth, I would suggest you get any immunization you can, and, you know, try to be patient in the process. There just is a limited supply, and they're still learning how to distribute and be as reasonably fair as they can. I keep getting questions from people as to whether I can move them up on the list.
Right.
I can't.
Yeah.
Nobody has that kind of power.
And I don't think any
Nobody I
doctors
know.
will. I think so many people are like flooding their doctor's lines with that same question week after week after week. The answer's not changing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just set, it's set by age and health issues. And, some people have health issues that they consider, of course, to be very significant. But, if you're 25 and have allergies that bug you 3 months out of the year, that's just not a reason to move ahead of somebody
Right.
who's 70 and has heart disease and diabetes and
Right.
has still a life expectancy of hopefully, 10 more years. We don't want to start trying to cut away that life expectancy just because of age. I think that's a very, frankly, un-American thing to do. So, if you're young, healthy, and bothered by something, be patient and be
Yes.
careful. Don't get
Yes.
too much pandemic fatigue so that you run too much risk of the infection, because it's serious for the young as well as older people. We probably didn't know well enough early on in the infection that young people can be devastated by it too.
Right.
But that's becoming more and more clear over time.
And that's so true. Well, Dr. Clothier, we've got a really good question. Dr. Good of the Ask Dr. B Good show on the JP Kathy Network has asked the question. She said she has received the Moderna double shot. She's gotten both of her doses. She asked, can I get the J&J shot next year for added protection?
If it is indicated and becomes FDA approved for a shot with the other shots, then that would probably be something very reasonable.
Okay.
And I'm guessing there will be cases or situations like that where, we learn just by different types of shots that they're able to both be given to an individual. So far, though, there's no FDA approval for that, even under the emergency order. So
keep on watching on that one.
The answer would be I wouldn't expect that.
Okay.
But by the way the question's asked in terms of next year, it's certainly a reasonable likelihood.
Right. So that's something that we could follow, because I think you're going to have a number of people. I know, for example, my dad's in the category. He's received his 2 shots. Well, he would want that extra surge of protection if possible. And getting back to you're talking about the amounts of deaths. Now we had a death in our family recently, not from COVID. Unfortunately, it was from the ice storm, heart failure due to the beginning signs of hypothermia.
I'm very sad to hear that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clothier. Here's what's really tough. By now, you would have expected we could have buried our loved one. We were just able to meet because of COVID numbers in the Dallas, North Texas area. It took us 10 days to get an appointment to make the original arrangements with Restland.
Wow.
And they just said they are that inundated. And then we're limited on times we can do the outside burial and all of these kinds of things, just things that, not too long ago when my grandmother died were okay to do. Now, because of COVID and the high number of bodies that are coming in,
right,
everything's changed. So it's real. You can deny it all you want. You can write about it on social media in the bathroom wall, but I think this is a personal choice. And if people want to get themselves protected, there's just too many things coming out that are showing this is serious and it's here to stay.
It is. I mean, that's the bottom line. Everyone wants to be an expert, I suppose. And I think it's interesting that some people just really do. And I tend to think of it sort of like evangelism. It's kind of a weird deal to think of it that way, but they want to get other people to go against masking or against social distancing, or against just, being practical and not getting in groups, or against being indoors too long, or in favor of reopening bars, which clearly have shown to be a source of infection, or other small gatherings in enclosed spaces for prolonged amount of times. And, the challenge is that all that is just thought, and none of that is evidence-based. And, it's interesting that in study after study now, observationally, areas that mask will be at a lower infection rate, appreciably lower infection rate than those areas that have not declared masking to be required. And so as much as it annoys people, or they just think, it's government control, whatever, I'd still say it is also the right medical thing to do. The best thing for COVID and COVID recovery and COVID approach would clearly have been for politicians to have just stayed out and propped up a doctor and said, listen to her, listen to him, and follow those recommendations, and we'll just stay out of it. And that way it maybe wouldn't have become politicized. It's hard to say. But political approaches to a virus are wrought with failure. Medical approaches and public health concern approaches are generally going to be very favorable and have shown to be over time. And so I would say, listen to your medical professional, listen to your doctor, listen to organizations, even if they drive you nuts. They are there to study the virus and the pandemic, like the CDC, for instance, National Institutes of Health. If you're tired of hearing from Dr. Fauci that it's a serious virus, I'd say turn it off and just realize it's a serious virus. You don't have to listen to him to realize
they can listen to you instead. That's who right. I'm listening to.
I tell you, Dr. Fauci spoke at my commencement ceremony for my medical school.
Oh, wow.
And he was a leading guy at the time on HIV study, which was brand new back then, the realization of HIV and the various complications. And, he's been a world leader in viral issues for a long time. And I think, if you've been on Facebook for a year, you don't have as much experience against viruses as he does in terms of his career in virology. So
a Facebook medical degree doesn't count.
Yeah, that's a lot of. I think there are online places that'll bestow a degree if you have a certain number of postings, probably. But just listen to practical expertise and be careful, because it is still going so far. I'm hoping that we'll see a herd immunity, a drop in the infection, maybe just a natural drop at some point. We all hope that. We're not there yet.
Right. Well, we're praying for it. Well, thank you, Dr. Clothier. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
We know you've got a hard stop. You're a busy man today, but we'll talk to you next week, and I'm sure we'll have more questions.
That sounds great.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Clothier. Have a blessed week. Gosh, good information from Dr. Clothier. Keep sending those questions, because we can send your questions to Dr. Clothier throughout the week, and he can have those answered to the best of his ability next week. It's not going away. You're hearing of different mutations of COVID that are out there. And again, I respect everybody. I've got JP, you and I've got friends who are adamant, very against the shot, will not get the shot, do not, they put negative things out about the shots and things of that nature. I just think this is a very personal decision, and make it wisely, make it wisely for yourself and for your loved ones and those around you. So has your dad, somebody was asking, has your dad been able, Stan the Man, the comedian, has he been able to get his yet?
No.
Shoot.
And here's what's interesting. Right?
Yeah.
So I get my weekly update from Collin County.
Right.
And in getting my weekly update, it says you've been moved over to the city of Frisco, taken off the Collin County list.
Okay.
So my dad did not get the same message.
Oh, you got that message. He
me.
didn't.
He did not.
Okay.
And I signed him up a week ahead of me.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like he was like I swear he was number 5,000 and something.
Okay.
And so I get the phone call 2 days ago to go for March the 4th at 4:00 over to the city of Frisco and get my vaccination. And there's no way to switch him out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Can you say, hey?
They say your ID has to match you and your name has to match you. So what happened is that Collin County didn't send my dad's name over to Frisco. And so my dad is still on the Collin County wait list.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take him with me and say, hey, is there any chance you can give it to him first?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
And let me
remove.
just, I'll drop off the list,
maybe they
and
can
I'll come back on the
exactly.
list.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you have to get back at the back of the line, I know you want to
Right.
get your dad.
Yeah, I want to get him done
You
first.
know,
Now, I
done
mean,
first.
at the same token, it's good for me to be immunized. so
Because
that I
you're out and
don't-
about a
Right.
lot more than your dad.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
so,
wow.
it's very interesting
Okay.
how it's working out. And so I'm trying to figure it out.
Right.
But it's
right.
interesting for sure. And, and what Dr. Clothier is talking about, and I think the other part is my dad's waiting for the Johnson & Johnson. I think my dad
So now
wants-
that that's come out, does he feel
Well,
more comfortable with
he
that one
does.
shot?
He does. Well, he feels like it's more of in line with what a vaccination is.
Okay.
Versus what the Moderna shot is and the
Right.
second shot and all of that. So
Well, and I think some people, I know, to me, like Johnson & Johnson, that's just a name you've heard forever and a day. So, a lot of people feel more comfortable just from a branding perspective. Now, let me ask you this. When you go to, this may be a Dr. Clothier question, when you go to get the vaccination, I guess you don't have a choice. It's whatever that particular group is giving out as the vaccination. Or can you get up there and say, I prefer this or I prefer that?
I think that, I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out, right? I'm not sure how it's
Well, yeah,
going
so
to
you're,
work out.
March 4th, we're just a couple of days away, a few days
Yeah.
away.
In fact, I've
so-
got to tell my business partner, hey,
Yeah,
I'm leaving
I'm in
early
line. Yeah.
to go
Well,
get my vaccination.
then yeah, you can give us actually, that's what, Thursday? Then you can give us
Thursday.
an update Friday and let us know.
As long as I'm not in the hospital with
Hey,
COVID-19.
hey. Rewind. Do not say that. We do not say
Rewind.
that. Do not say
But
that.
yeah, they're being very specific in Frisco. Very, very specific.
Oh.
And so, and again, you can't call anybody. Let me turn my volume up. There we go. How's that?
I can hear you now.
You can't call anybody to talk to anybody. Like I said, I'm going to take Dad with me, and I'm going to say, hey, can we do my dad instead of me? Even though, and
Yeah.
again, the problem is that he's not on the Frisco list. He's on the Collin County list because they didn't switch him over to Frisco yet. And I even looked through his phone and
To see if there was a
everything.
message he missed
Yeah,
or
maybe he
anything
missed
like
it.
that. It made, yeah.
He did not miss it.
Shoot.
Let's
Well,
be clear about that.
hopefully you can get that. Hopefully you can get that all figured out. So that's just.
I'm
and that's
hoping
the. I
so.
know people are frustrated, but you've got to be patient. Everybody's the processes people are putting into place. This is all brand new. I mean, a year ago we would have never in a million years expected that. Like Dr. Clothier said. It has literally only been 15 months since COVID was even on our radar. You and I really didn't start reporting about it back at our old radio station until spring break time last year, because it was like the kids went off for spring break, and then we're taking one more week off spring break, and then we'll come back. And then we haven't ever come back the same way since then. So we're almost upon that year mark for us in this neck of the woods having to deal with it in a significant manner. Because that's when really everything started to change.
Yep. All right, Kathy.
All right, JP.
Who is that man?
Do we have Dr. Seuss?
That is Dr. Seuss on a Zoom call.
I was going to say,
He's on
I
our Zoom
wish he
call.
was on a Zoom call with us.
Hello, I'm Dr. Seuss.
Is that,
Oh,
is that
no.
even his accent? I don't
No,
know.
much worse. That's not the accent at all.
Oh, goodness gracious. Plus, that would be a miracle if he were around, because he left us some time ago.
So it's interesting. Michelle says, we really would want to know how this list is being evaluated in each county in the selection process. See, and again, what happened is...
If you find out, Michelle,
Yeah,
let
let
us
us
know.
But here's the thing, though, Michelle. This is what's interesting. It's not that I'm on the Collin County list now and getting the call ahead of my dad, because my dad's like 45,000 people ahead of me, right?
Right.
What it is they moved me off the Collin County list and sent me to Frisco. And Frisco is being much more efficient than Collin County in getting the shot out. And I think that's what it is. And so it's really going to be very interesting. So, anywho, Dr. Seuss, let's switch pages. We only have a short period of time before we're back off the air. Why is Dr. Seuss's picture up there? Why is it important? Well, how about this?
We love Dr. Seuss, but
How
why are we
about-
bringing him up today?
How about the fact that the state of Virginia has decided that the book has strong racial undertones. Yes, you heard me right. Dr. Seuss is a racist, and his books are racist. Evidently, his books are offensive to Asians and to black people all over the world.
It's interesting. You and I were talking on the phone on the drive in, and you mentioned Dr. Seuss, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're like, let's talk about him today. I'm like, that's great because tomorrow is National Read Across America Day, Dr. Seuss Day, March 2nd. So it's so cute. Schools and teachers all over, come to school dressed up in Dr. Seuss characters and all this kind of good stuff. And you're like, no. And I had not heard this story. And I was like, okay, JP, you're just trying to kick off my day laughing, just goofing around. And you're like, you can't make this up.
Well, and again, here's what's really sad about it is that Dr. Seuss's legacy, part of it was he fought racism. That's the thing. This
is kind of like one of those things, taking something out of context, which you're really stretching on this one. And we reported on this a couple of years ago, the African-American cartoon character in Charles Schultz in Peanuts. Everybody was like, well, he was on one side of the table by himself and he was in a lawn chair for the Thanksgiving, version. And that's racist. And I can't believe my parents made me watch this. Well, if you would have researched Dr. Seuss, first of all, or Charles Schultz at that time, he put the first African-American cartoon character on the map. He was like Dr. Seuss and fought against racism. These were all men who supported, Dr. King's dream.
Well, it's pretty
darn
sad. Because we are afraid, and we're going to have to stop being afraid. We're going to have to start stepping back. And this is what I'm doing. I'm stepping back, right?
Yeah.
I'm putting myself out there to be criticized.
Bust our chops. We'll take it.
Well, because I'm saying that these social justice warriors are way wrong. They're way, way off. Dr. Seuss's books were about being inclusive. Don't know how on earth you get to Dr. Seuss's books are racist. I mean, Nathan's first thing, green eggs and ham. And I'm like, offends Asians. I don't know how.
You're right, Nathan. That was the first book that's the first thought that came to my mind. I just think of all of his books and how, my parents read those books to me. I read those books to my kids. They will, I would imagine, read those books to their kids. Those are just staples. I don't know how many times my brother and I checked out Dr. Seuss books at the public library with my mom back in the day. And in Virginia, they're boycotting it. March 2nd is National Read Across America Day with Dr. Seuss because that's in honor of his birthday. There's a Virginia school district who refuses to tout his birthday.
Well, they're pulling his books
on Read Across America Day. How can you do that?
Yeah, they're pulling his books. So
is this America?
No, not anymore. So here's my suggestion.
Gosh.
If you're on the fence on this, and if you are, you probably need to get off my show. Because I'm just saying, you probably don't belong on my show.
You might not want to hear JP's rant today.
Yeah, because
be forewarned.
This whole social justice warrior thing, and
this whole woke thing, the quote unquote woke movement, is making me crazy.
I agree with you, Shannon. I think it's a lack of intelligence on the complainant. It goes way deeper than that because now a whole state is buying off on it, and this whole state is banning his books, and it's like we have really gotten ourselves back into let's burn all the books. Let's not have free thinking. Let's not encourage people to throw ideas into the marketplace of ideas. Let's not be creative anymore. And I don't even know how you get where you can strip our literature. I mean, is there any piece of literature that is safe if Dr. Seuss isn't safe?
Thing 1 and 2, Michelle, yeah. What's wrong with that?
Do you know that they're probably offensive to black people?
And we don't know. I mean, again, especially if you're not white, help us. Tell us, or if you are white and you're offended by it, help us out.
Carol Swain is my answer. She is a best-selling black author, and for some reason, my whole computer just shut down.
Hello.
Well, yeah, goodbye. I think it did a reboot on purpose. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So what about her now?
So what happened is that Carol Swain is a best-selling Black author. She's from the state of Virginia, and she's embarrassed about her state. Go on and find her, listen to her, grab her book. It talks about Be the People. It talks about the freedom that we're losing as a result of these self-righteous social justice warriors who are trying to ruin our society. And what they really are not social justice warriors. They're communists. Well, that's what they really are.
And here, and what they're doing, and I couldn't agree with you more, JP. They are putting those of us who just want to go about our lives. Obviously, I mean, I don't consider myself a racist. I don't consider you a racist. I consider us people who are just open-minded. We judge each individual on their individual merits. Okay, so what's wrong if we support, if we want to read Dr. Seuss to our kids? Okay, rock and roll. But now you're being put in this state of mind where if you're not with us, the woke group, the woke society, that whole group who's angry about everything and taking offense to everything. If you're not part of that group, JP, then you better shut up, because if not, we're going to shame you for having your independent thoughts. And again, I go back to, what country is this? And I'm going to pull the word off the shelf, JP.
Pull it.
That you used the other day. And I said, I'm going to keep coming back to this word.
Pull it.
Tyranny.
Yep.
You knew I was going there. I told you I was going to keep pulling that off the shelf. You mentioned that, oh gosh, it's probably been 5-6 weeks ago. You need to start looking at that. And you're right. If we, the people, don't stand up and say, wait a second, so tomorrow, post something on your social media about Dr. Seuss,
supporting Dr. Seuss.
Read Across America Day. If you've got, if you're like me and you're older and, it's been a while since your kids were little in school, then pull out an old picture and post it on Facebook of your kids dressed up like a Dr. Seuss character or with a big Cat in the Hat hat on or something like that. And show support for just being able to have your own thoughts and like what you like and don't like what you don't like.
Well, and again, though, we're robbing this is what's happening. This is how you cancel out a culture, is you get rid of an entire culture. And that's what they're trying to do historically. I get the whole argument. Like, I've been watching Clarence with Ask Dr. Be Good, right, on Black History Month. Yeah. And he made a super, I knew this, but maybe it wasn't in the forefront of my brain, right? Okay. Which is that a black man, black woman's history is different from a white woman, white man's history.
Yes.
But yet we teach all kids a white man, white woman's history in school. We don't teach a history that a black man or a black woman have come from. Like, I get that, right?
Right.
Totally get that.
Right.
And so now we're going to go in and we're going to completely culture out, okay,
right,
all of history.
And just recreate it.
And that's what they're doing. Like, Dr. Seuss is no longer going to exist in the state of Virginia, right? It's not that people can't still buy the books. It's not people can't still read the books. But here we have this run on fear that we're going to spread across the state of Virginia, that they're hoping, I'm sure, will spread to other states, that Dr. Seuss's books aren't enlightening, aren't fun, aren't good for kids. Carol Swain this morning, she was all over it. Carol Swain was like, how dare them? I read these books to my kids. I read these books to my grandkids.
Yes.
And she's like, these books are not racist. I'm embarrassed for these people who are saying this.
One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Okay, is that political? Because you've got a red fish and a blue fish, Republicans and Democrats. Why not just take it at face value? He wrote books that were easy to read. They were melodic. They rhymed. They were in short sentences, and the way the pictures went, it was genius, because these were easy. These were some of the first books my kids read themselves out loud when I was teaching my kids to read when they were little. And they were. This was actually a big topic of conversation at CPAC in Washington, D.C., and we'll have to wait until Wednesday to talk about President Trump's the response and the applause that he received. He
Right.
stole the show at CPAC. But they were saying, if you haven't heard, Dr. Seuss is being canceled. The same boneheads who claim, and I'm quoting one of the speakers there, who claim that Mr. and Mr. Potato Head is overly exclusive. So how do you find racism in Hop on Pop? If anything, dads with big stomachs, are we being mean to them? I don't know.
Well, and again, they were even talking, Carol Swain was even talking about Shakespeare. We're going to start taking Shakespeare off of the shelves.
He was a white man, so he's got to be bad.
Right. I mean, it's just
at some point something's got to outrage everybody.
Here's my thing.
I don't know.
Who in the hell are these social justice warriors? Who are these people? Who made them
what
the
degree,
deciding factor?
Yes, who made
on
them
what
the
this
deciders?
country should or shouldn't be reading?
Amen.
Or how they should be reading it, and what happened to our Constitution?
I don't know.
I mean, help me out here. Does that mean that Henry David Thoreau is gone? Emerson is gone? Whitman is gone? Frost is gone?
Ray Bradbury's next? I don't know.
Bradbury. Because
again,
we don't want to talk about burning books. That's what these idiots are doing.
It's one of those things that how much are we going to sit here and just take lying down? And again, we don't have to be. Okay, you're obviously upset about this. I'm obviously upset about this. We've got
offended.
Folks who
I'm offended.
Yes, we've got members of the crew who are like, I can't believe this is ridiculous. This is crazy. Was it Nathan that said they called two of his kids Thing 1 and Thing 2? What's bad about that? I hear something weird in my headset. Oh, okay, but it's one of those things, JP, that at some point, in a non-offensive, non-crude manner, because a lot of these people who are woke are very crude and just
that's because that's how they get people to back off.
Well, that's how they intimidate you. They're bullies.
They're verbally assaultive.
Yes, and that way you're like, oh, well, I better not say anything. But at some point we do have to stand up and say, you know what? God bless Dr. Seuss. Here are my memories about Dr. Seuss. This is such great stuff. Encourage you, if you're a new parent, pull these books, dust your books off from your childhood, read these. And we've got to, I think at some point, the negativity, the cruelty, the bullying, the saying, I know better than you do. And some of these people who start these are, they're people in their 20s who don't even have any life experience under their belt. They've been raised in a home where they didn't have to work. They were given a brand new car when they turned 16. They don't have any idea what reality looks like. And they're the ones telling those of us in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 40s, they're the ones setting the tone for the country.
Well,
no thanks.
and the millennials who couldn't open a can of Franken beans.
Oh, what was that? SpaghettiOs. Remember that video?
They couldn't open a can of
Couldn't use a can opener.
Couldn't use a can opener. And that's not all millennials. I get
no,
that.
No.
But at the same token, we're going to eradicate Dr. Seuss. Come on. You're not social justice warriors. You're buffoons. Yeah. At some point, we got to start saying, and again, it's a small minority of this country. John Stuart Mills did not intend for this country to run the way that it's being run as a republic based on utilitarianism. This is not utilitarianism. This is totalitarianism by a small group. And it's led by idiots like AOC, for God's sake.
And I just... And then that reminds me, it's interesting. Boy, she's calling for Cuomo's head on a platter. We've got lots to talk about on Wednesday.
They're even Elon Omar and her even bashing Biden now.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting. I want to see at some point something's going to come up where people are like, what? This might be one of those things.
What?
Something's going to come up like where it's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back.
It's the what?
There you go.
It's the what?
What about this?
It's the chutzpah of the what?
At some point, you're going to have something that these people put out there, and this might just be it, JP.
Dr. Seuss?
This might just be it. This might be the tipping point where people say, you know what? Enough is enough. And And at some point, it's it's like those of us who are or were teachers. Dr. Good, if you're still on the feed, I know you understand
She
this.
is.
Okay, so everybody's pretty well behaved. Some kids have better days than others. All this kind of stuff when you're a teacher managing and teaching in your classroom, and you have that one kid. Usually each school year, you got the one kid who they're going to do or say something just to get you off your game, just to disrupt the class. And they don't care because they want the attention, even if it's negative attention.
Right.
At some point, we're just going to have to say, you know what? Say, this is ridiculous. I'm going to go out and buy 3 Dr. Seuss books today. I'm going to order 3 Dr. Seuss books, whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to post something positive about Dr. Seuss online. And then stop giving these woke social justice warriors a platform. They're always going to have the platform because of social media. But we don't have to let them be part of it. Now, the sad thing is, in this Virginia school district, and this is crazy, you'll understand these numbers, JP, they spend, and this is in Loudoun County Public Schools,
Right.
Where this is happening, they spend over $1 billion annually to educate 80,000 students in Northern Virginia. And so they're getting all the attention today. Yeah,
$1 billion.
I'm like, gosh, do these kids go to school and have diamond encrusted tablets?
No, they've got gold toilets.
Yeah, I guess.
Shipped over from Iraq.
Fancy, bidet toilets. Are these teachers? Hopefully, the teachers are getting $250,000 a year to teach. If they're getting, if they've got $1 billion budget, let's give the money where the money is due.
$1 billion.
So at some point you've got to look, and I want to know, well, where's that $80 billion going to when all y'all are worried about is yanking Dr. Seuss off the shelves and not celebrating National Read Day, which is in honor of his birthday?
Well, and again, the author fighting racism himself. So, all right. So, this is a shake your head moment. This becomes
It
JP's
is.
first of the week. Kiss my hairy butt. There you go, Virginia. Smack it right on the old cheek. Because I'm done.
Oh, it's crazy.
Rip it off. So,
it's crazy.
Say your hello to Clay Boatwright.
Oh, yes. I've got a couple of things.
And then I'm going to finish out with Tiger Woods.
Okay, gotcha. A couple of things. As y'all know, we lost my mom's a long time of 33, almost 34 years, companion, boyfriend, best friend, who was a stepfather to my brother and I, grandfather to my kids, most selfless man I've ever known. Jerry Dunn passed away, and I've gotten so many nice messages from members of the crew. Thank y'all, just from the bottom of my heart. Thank you from my mom and my family, and we truly appreciate all the prayers, and please keep them coming. And then this weekend, I got to celebrate the wedding of an absolutely beautiful, delightful couple. Clay Boatwright, who's a member of the crew, dear friend of ours, has been on the show before. His daughter, Blair, got married to Trevor this weekend, and it was an one of my favorite weddings I've ever gone to, and I've been to a bajillion weddings. It will go down as one of my absolute favorite weddings to have ever been part of. So Blair and Trevor Hawley, congratulations and blessings to a beautiful, beautiful, amazing young couple.
And there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Blair. Go get them. Trevor, go get them.
Oh, they're so
right.
cute.
So, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
More's come out. He did come out and thank all of his supporters for the nice things that they have said and sent over to him. They've done multiple surgeries now on his right leg and right ankle.
Is it both legs that were injured?
No, just the right.
Just the right one.
Just
okay,
the right.
Gotcha. Okay, because there were so many rumors at first about both legs and okay.
Yeah, no alcohol involved.
Right.
I mean, this is simply. I don't know if anybody's ever driven in the hills of Southern California or Northern California.
You have recently.
Well, yeah, I have, and I grew up in those areas, right? And your car picks up speed going down some of those hills, and you got to watch it. And it was 7 a.m, and it just got away from him. There's no other explanation. The sheriff's office has said there will be no criminal charges filed.
Right.
It's just a car accident. He crossed the median. He was going a little too fast.
Right.
And crossed the median and rolled his car several times. But yesterday, Corey McIlroy and crew all wore red shirts and black trousers.
Which is signature classic Tiger Woods
That's
look.
right.
Yeah.
In honor of Tiger and supporting Tiger. And so, and he was out there to shoot a golf TV special and do
Wow.
And in honor of that, did some golf lessons for Dwayne Wade and Jada
Yeah.
Pinkett and
Oh,
somebody else
okay.
can't remember.
Yeah.
And so he was out there for that reason because he just had back surgery, and he was hoping to be back by the Masters.
Oh, exactly.
And
Yeah.
so so everybody got up and wore their red pullovers and
Polo shirts.
polo
Yeah.
shirts and black trousers. And I mean, I know nobody calls them trousers anymore. But and,
We do. We're old.
in honor of Tiger Woods. So that was kind
That's
of a cool
good. That's
thing
cool. I
to
like
do.
that.
I like that a lot.
that.
So kind of a positive thing and
Yeah.
support from his
from his fans.
compadres.
Yeah.
Well, from his
or his
compadres,
peers.
you know,
Those are
his-
his peers. Yes.
Absolutely. So
That's
you
nice.
gotta love that. Go
I
Tiger,
like that.
go.
I like
So
that.
amongst our Dr. Seuss, we have a good Tiger Woods story to finish up with.
There you
Coach
go.
Quigley, thanks for the reminder.
We
you
appreciate
always
Coach,
thinking about
and
us.
yeah, and thank you all for your participation today and always. And Wednesday, tons to talk about. Of course, Dr. Good will be on. And Friday we've got Chandler Foreman, the current Miss Texas, who will go down in history as the longest reigning Miss Texas, talking about black women in pageant history and just her road and where she's traveling to next. Because in June we will be crowning a new Miss Texas,
yeah.
and we're hoping to. It sounds like we're going to be broadcasting at least one day
Live
from the pageant
from Miss Texas.
Texas.
It's JP, Kathy, and the crew. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All right. Hey, everybody have a blessed Monday. Hope it's as good for you as it was for me.
Have a blessed week. We'll see you Wednesday. Stay tuned for Heart and Soul of Texas Women
Heart and
next
Soul.
at 10 o'clock.
Texas
Love
Women.
y'all.
I love our music. Boom, 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 boom. All
You
right.
love singing.